The National Endowment for Democracy tweeted publicly in December 2020 that to further human rights and human dignity for all people in China, the National Endowment for Democracy has funded Uyghur groups since 2004. As you can see, the map used by NED to publish content about Xinjiang on their official Twitter account is very different from what we commonly see on Google or other search engines. The map they use for the Xinjiang region on the Chinese map shows the flag of the East Turkestan Islamic Movement. The East Turkestan Islamic Movement is one of the most dangerous terrorist organizations among the East Turkestan terrorist forces, whose aim is to split China through terrorist means and establish a secular East Turkestan Islamic State in Xinjiang. The organization selects and recruits separatists, criminal elements and violent terrorists who have fled from Xinjiang to receive special training in secret and engage in terrorist activities. The East Turkestan Islamic Movement is an important part of the terrorist network headed by Osama bin Laden, and during the Taliban's rule in Afghanistan, there was even a contingent of some 320 East Turkestan Islamic Movement terrorists among the Taliban forces. The ETIM has launched a large number of terrorist attacks in the Xinjiang region and in various cities throughout China, posing a serious threat to the lives and property of the Chinese people. On June 29, 2012, on flight GS7554 from Houghton, Xinjiang to Urumqi, 6 ETIM terrorists followed the U.S. example of the 2001 U.S. September the 11th incident and violently stormed the cockpit and attempted to ignite explosives, which were eventually subdued by the flight crew. On October the 28th, 2013, terrorists drove a car by the Jinshui Bridge in front of Tiananmen Square, causing casualties in a case that killed 5 people and injured 40. On April the 30th, 2014, a knife-wielding suicide bombing attack at the South Railway Station in Urumqi, Xinjiang, killed 3 people and injured 79. On September the 18th, 2015, a coal mine in Baiqing County, Aksu Region, Xinjiang, was attacked by terrorists, killing 16 people, including 3 police officers, and injuring 18. According to incomplete statistics, thousands of terrorist attacks have occurred in Xinjiang since 1990 until the end of 2016. As early as 2002, the United Nations Security Council officially listed ETIM as a terrorist organization, and the United States was involved in the nomination at this time, and in December of the following year, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security designated ETIM as a terrorist organization. In 2008, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security issued a global wanted notice for 8 East Turkestan terrorists. In November 2020, the Trump administration removed ETIM from the U.S. terror list in order to undermine China's One Belt, One Road policy. Even though ETIM continues to perpetrate terrorist attacks around the world, under the Chinese government's severe crackdown, ETIM is no longer able to operate in China, and key ETIM members have fled abroad. Some sources say that a large part of the ETIM organization is active in Afghanistan, waiting for an opportunity to sneak back to Xinjiang, China. The Taliban may use ETIM's power to seize power in Afghanistan, and Turkey has recruited a large number of ETIM terrorists to form mercenaries to fight with the Syrian government. The National Endowment for Democracy has not only supported unrest in Xinjiang, China, but can be seen on their official website that NED has funded Hong Kong and Tibet in addition to Xinjiang over the years. Moreover, NED distinguishes Hong Kong, Xinjiang and Tibet in China from mainland China on its webpage, and its intention to split China can be said to be very obvious. It is well known that an NED is funded by the U.S. Congress through annual appropriations made by the U.S. State Department. This next video interview from 2015 features Ms. Sybil Edmonds, a former translator for the FBI, explaining why China's Xinjiang is in turmoil and what the U.S. plans are.
Well, as you see, it's been happening. It's extremely important. And again, it pops up. Unfortunately, 99% of people, even though New York Times with its own tilt covered it, they would read it and with the names not making sense, saying, okay, maybe it's some immigration issues where you have illegal immigrants being smuggled out of this country, but it's not. It's never been the case. A lot of these people are taken out by the operatives, Gladio operatives, in this case, most of the times by the Turks, and they are taken out, they are trained, and they are armed, and then they are sent back. And there are various areas, porous borders. And even if you look at Afghanistan, especially now that we have Afghanistan as a kind of a base, you can see how easy it is to smuggle these people out. I mean, to get them out, train them, militaristically train them, and arm them, tell them what to do in terms of the next stage of operations, then send them back from the other side, going through Central Asian Caucasus to Afghanistan, and then back to Xinjiang, where lo and behold, some terror events takes place, and people have no idea how did they get the guns. How were they trained militaristically, because Xinjiang is under China's control. Well, they are trained outside. So that is the goal, and that is the operation. So the Chinese government's version of the story is much closer than when the New York Times takes the version of the Turkish side. Xinjiang is going to be the next Taiwan, okay? And you look at the map, you see the importance of Xinjiang. That is the artery, the entry artery of energy, whether it's coming from Kazakhstan or Turkmenistan into China, whether it's natural gas or if it's oil, it has to pass. So that's why it's very important. That's why we're going to see more. And then it's going to come to the point where we're going to have someone similar to Richard Gere start giving speeches during Oscar acceptance and talk about how these, like they do it with the monks there in Tibet. It would be how these people are being, abused and oppressed, and they need to have their own land, and it needs to be carved out. Meaning that is the objective. We want another Taiwan. We want to gradually, by playing, how here internally we play the gender card and the race card. Well, for that part of the world to play the minority without land, we're going to help them. They're being oppressed. The Chinese are gunning them down and torturing them. So let's take out this. We put military base there, and we also have the sympathy of the world. But as the Western nations, United States, Gladio, we've never cared about people suffering. That's not within our interest area, unless it can be utilized, capitalized upon to get our objective, meaning have that area, declare it anonymous, and make sure that China, energy-wise, is not going to have an easy time. It's definitely going to come. The question is not whether it's going to come. The question is when. And you see that gradually they are paving the way. So it's going to happen, whether it's 5 years down the road or 2 years down the road. And these things heating up.
The US government is trying really hard to make America great again. In addition to spending money to support terrorist groups to disrupt China, it can't relax its interference in economic and cultural aspects. On March the 31st, Ajit Singh, a writer for Grayzone, posted an article on the Grayzone website about the Uyghur American Association receiving funding from the National Endowment for Democracy to spearhead anti-China efforts. The author Ajit Singh disclosed in the article that cultivated by the US government as human rights activists, Uyghur American Association leaders partner with far-right lawmakers and operate a militia-style gun club that trains with excess special forces. On March the 21st, US government-funded Uyghur activists were caught on video disrupting a gathering against anti-Asian racism in Washington, D.C., barking insults at demonstrators including, "Wipe out China," and "Fuck China." The Uyghur caravan flew American and East Turkestan flags and drove vehicles adorned signs bearing slogans such as "We Love USA," "Boycott China," and "CCP killed 80 million Chinese people." Organized by the Uyghur American Association, the drive-by heckling of anti-racist demonstrators drew widespread condemnation on social media, including from other sections of the Uyghur separatist movement. The Uyghur American Association is the U.S. affiliate of the World Uyghur Congress. It receives millions of dollars in funding from the U.S. National Foundation and works closely with various anti-China forces and governments to make significant contributions to the anti-China cause. This includes concocting lies about forced labor for cotton in Xinjiang. China has long been under attack in the media for the new crown virus, Hong Kong, Tibet, Taiwan, Huawei, etc., all of which are the result of the efforts of OG-supported organizations or individuals. They have been helping to make America great again.